The release, let's talk about it. It is a complicated subject. I'm sure you've watched videos, you've maybe even got yourself into a bit of a mess with what you should be doing. I'm gonna keep it really, really simple. I've got a great little exercise in this I'd love you to do. It makes it really, really simple. And it makes it quite intuitive as well, so we can tap into your kind of natural ability. One of the biggest faults in the release is just the misconception of what should happen. And to understand that, we need to do a little example. You can do this with me if you've got a golf club, but even if you haven't, just something that looks like a golf club would work. And just hold it somewhere on the club shaft. And if I'm using this hand as the kind of pivot point, if I want to move the club head towards the target with any kind of speed and force, then I can do. You can see I can move the club pretty aggressively towards the target. But the grip goes in the opposite direction. So when I'm trying to move that club head aggressively in this direction, the club head goes back. So whatever you do to an object, i.e. the club head, it's going to have the opposite reaction to the grip. So you might have seen, there's a very, very good chance you've seen on camera at impact, your hands are too far back. But the issue is, even though you're trying to get your hands forward, you can't. Why? Because you're desperately trying to move the club forwards. And what we've just said is when you try and move the club forward with some force, it pushes the grip in the opposite direction. So what happens for so many golfers is they get themselves into impact this way, they're aware of the target, which on this hole is, the fairway, and even though I might be in a great delivery position here, because there's a focus on the club head towards the target and a real aggressive release of the club head, it forces the hands to go back. And it doesn't matter how hard you try, you can't get the hands forwards. So here's the little drill I want you to do. And this is going to be a different concept for you. This is a 6-iron. This is actually off a toy that my boys had when they were probably 2 or 3 years old. It's literally just a plastic donut. You can hear it on the club shaft. So the first thing we're going to do is going to get something like this. I apologise that you can hear it rattling around as I'm doing this video. And we're just going to get you kind of setting with posture and then just up towards a backswing. And that thing should also fall down to the grip. Now the first thing we have to really understand is that we don't want to be throwing those angles away too soon. Because if we do, this is going to slide down the golf club. So I want you to really be thinking about getting your lead hand over your trail thigh. When I say over, I mean as you're viewing it from that face on, the hand covers the thigh, and whatever you've got over the golf club is still kind of up near the grip end. This is the delivery position we want. Now how are you going to get there? A little bit of pressure shift, a little bit of rotation. So as I do that, we go up, it slides down, and we can move ourselves into this position. This is where we're going to kind of start this little drill. So from here, watch what happens if I think about the club head, and I'm going to think about really swinging that club head as quickly as I can kind of towards the Alzora clubhouse that you see in the distance. So I'm really going to swing that club towards that clubhouse. We get this. Now, yes, the object went right down to the club head, but look at my wrist angles. Awful. I didn't hit that ball, but if I did, it's not going to be a great shot, and you can see that. I want you to be thinking about, from that delivery position, not swinging the club head towards the clubhouse, but actually trying to get this object, whatever it is that's on your golf club, for me it's this little toy, and actually throwing that toy into the ground just after the ball. Different concept. So what that's going to do is it's going to push the club head basically down towards the ground. I'm trying to get the club head to push away from me, my sternum, my chest. So at this point here, which would be post-impact, I'm trying to get the club as far away from me as I can. I'm not thinking about anything up there. Nothing to do with the target, the clubhouse, the fairway. I'm not really thinking anything other than, can I get the club head from here, where it's obviously relatively close to me, I can touch it, to be as far away from me as possible? And more importantly, can I get this thing to slide down my club as aggressive as I can and basically go into the ground here? It's a different concept. And watch what happens when I do that. I'm obviously not going to hit a ball, but we go up, we work it down, and now I'm going to try and get this purple device, or whatever it is, to fling into the ground just after the ball. Now look how different that looks. Look at that strike position. Now the ball would have obviously gone, but we get this beautiful line from shoulder, through hand, through club. Let me do that again for you. So we set it, we let it come onto the grip, we hold it there, and then I'm going to, as much as I can, put it into the ground. Here. Very, very different to, can I swing the club at my target get the same sort of thing, but I would feel to me as if this little device is being swung towards the target, not towards the ground. And what you're going to start to see is I can do that with a fair bit of speed, and I can keep this intact. I can keep this line intact. So we go up, we work it in. From here, you'll notice that as I'm going through, I'm starting to push up a little bit and rotate my body, but my real focus is what I'm doing with the club and what I'm doing with that object. I'm trying to get the club away from me and fire that into the ground. We can then take that through to some shots. And the next little drill that I have you do, and I'm possibly going to lose the ball here because I've got a long carry. The next little drill I'd have you do is working that through to a goal swing. If you ask a really good player, high-end player with great release, to hit a shot and finish before the club passes or gets above the lead shoulder, so that would be lower, that would be lower, that would be above, then what you're going to find is they can hit a 6-iron at pretty good distance. They can hit it probably some 120, 130 yards. So might even be able to make that fairway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a goal swing. I'm going to get to my delivery. I'm going to fire that thing that's on my club shaft, which is no longer there, down into the ground. And I'm going to continue turning my body. I'm going to keep my club finishing short of my shoulder. Okay, did I carry it? Just about. Now I reckon that club went above my shoulder at some point. Okay, and I think it went above my shoulder because I was really conscious of not losing a TP5 golf ball, so I maybe put a little bit more speed in. But if you look at the end position, it was still pretty controlled. Now, I think when you do that little exercise, what you might find is that you can only hit the ball 30 yards, maybe 40 yards before the club gets above your shoulder. And if you find that is the case, if the club's above your shoulder and the ball's only going 30 or 40 yards, that's telling me, and it should tell you, that you're someone who's got that release, which is almost the kind of handle back, club forward. Because when you do that, the club goes up very quickly. What you should be doing is using that drill to get the feels, taking it off, taking a golf club, seeing how far you can hit it, back to the drill, back to the shots, back to the drill. And what you'll find is that you'll be able to hit the ball pretty far, with great strikes, with perfect impact, and your follow through will be controlled. When you get to that point, just drop me a comment and say, thanks Chris, I'm done. I can go play golf now. My release is perfect, my strike is perfect. And I really hope you get there because you will if you do that drill. The release is so important. Concept, change that, love that drill, give it a go. Try and find something to go on your golf club. It will be a bit of an eye opener for you and you'll start to really, really strike the irons well.